Thank you very much. So the title that we've got is Playing the Long Game Towards Sustainable Economic Development. For me, I'll give a bit of history first about ALPA, go through some of what we're doing now, but then I'll pass over to our directors and they can give you a bit of the real story underneath and the meaningful reasons of why our board have taken us this way over such a long period of time. I think the ALPA story is a very important one of strategic leadership and your governance driving the success of the business, so I'll make sure that I leave enough time for the directors. So I'll start off with our mission statement. So our mission statement gives a really good summary of some of the key areas of why we do what we do. This is what's set down by the board and what every decision that ALPA made is run past. If we don't have that strategic alignment with the board's vision, we don't do it. So our mission is to operate successful and responsible businesses, emphasising local employment, training, career pathways, service, customer service and safety. We strive to improve the health, quality of life and economic development of our members, giving primacy to their cultural heritage, dignity and desire for opportunity and equality with their fellow Australians. So where we sort of break that down to three key things are run good, solid, sustainable businesses, employ local people and do everything we can to improve quality of life for our members and people who live in our communities. So just give a bit of an overview of who we are. So as Charlie mentioned, we've been around since 1972. We're a financially independent, Yolngu-owned member corporation, and we're governed by a very strong board of Yolngu directors. We're now Australia's largest Indigenous corporation. We have over 1,200 employees, 85% of which are Indigenous. So it's 1,000 direct employed Indigenous people in ALPA and our different business concerns. We have an operational footprint of 1.2 million square kilometres and a diverse range of businesses. So ALPA started out in the beginning back in 1972 as a co-op of 7 stores. Over that period of time it's grown to run stores and businesses on behalf of other Indigenous organisations all across the NT and Queensland, as well as diversifying the portfolio of businesses that we run so that we can apply the business model of employing Indigenous people to deliver services the way they want them, to improve their own lives and the lives of their families. ALPA also runs its own registered training organisation. So our RTO started up in 1992. Since our RTO began, we've put more than 1,500 people through full apprenticeships or accredited training. In 2013, the board gave management the direction that the retail business had been going pretty well. We've built a very stable platform now, and it's time to really go hard after every opportunity that's out there to create new businesses, give people that economic empowerment that helps them be strong, and to diversify the portfolio of things that we're doing out in community. ALPA now operates in 25 communities across the NT and Queensland, has annual turnover exceeding 80 million, and returns 16 million of that every year in the form of direct wages, benevolent programs, and community infrastructure. So I'll just quickly go through some of the key to success and what the board's instilled into the organisation that's helped us make that jump and enabled that growth and diversification. So the first one is that our Yolngu board own our strategy. They have complete ownership of the direction the organisation goes into and they drive it. And they make us very accountable to follow it as well. We have very strong Yolngu and Balunda governance systems in place, both at a management level and at a community level, to make sure that we're doing everything we need to run those strong, sustainable businesses and have that financial platform. We're meeting all our regulatory requirements, but also that we're providing a culturally safe workplace. We've got flexibility in employment that allows people to maintain their important cultural obligations as well as develop their careers. We apply commercial principles to everything we do. That ensures our sustainability. So ALPA is a not-for-profit organisation. We're not there to make money, but by applying those sound commercial principles, we make sure that the businesses stay strong, because the stronger our commercial operations are, the more we can do in terms of our benevolent return. Another important focus of ALPA is investing in our people. So I spoke about the RTO before and those training pathways that we make available to every single employee. ALPA has also won the NT Large Employer of the Year, not just for Indigenous businesses, but for any business in the Northern Territory in both 2015 and 2016. And we have a significant focus on partnerships. There's the partnership between the board and management, the partnership between the organisation and our communities, with other Indigenous businesses, like Garma. You've heard plenty about their mill. They supply all our timber for the furniture factory that I'll talk about in a little while. We also work with the government at the NT, federal and local level, whether it's in service delivery, engaging around policy. But I'll make the point that we are financially independent at ALPA. Only 10% of that turnover or below, depends on the year, comes from external funding. The rest of our income self-generated. But we realised that there was more than we could possibly do on our own in terms of maximising the opportunities and starting to really focus on driving sustainable localised economies in some of these remote communities where we operate. So going into employment services, when we first diversified, taking on the RJCP program, which is now CDP, we saw that we had strong participation, an enthusiastic caseload of people who wanted jobs, but there weren't enough jobs there. We had a workforce development strategy and we were getting great training outcomes. But there's no point training people if there's nowhere for them to go. So that's when the board made the decision, we need to step outside of our comfort zone, start working with the communities that we're in to build new organisations that those communities control, that they can have equity stakes in, and give them that other level of self-determination to really run their own local economy. So what we've tried to do is really cut into that FIFO service delivery model that exists in community. If there's something that can be done by a Yolngu person living on country, we'll do everything that we can for them to be able to do it, whether that's training, whether that's developing new businesses, whatever it is, we'll do it. It was quickly clear that we needed strong partners to do that, and that's why we went into the development model for the new small corporations in the group. And they're built on the history of enterprise in Arnhem Land. And Arnhem Land has such a strong entrepreneurial history. Went back to trading with the Macassans. As recently as the 60s, some of our communities were net exporters. Very different to now where most things come in on the barge. So a lot of primary industries out there, such as fishing, livestock, construction, farming and retail. And what we're doing now is working with those communities to bring them back. And the directors will talk more about that in a moment. So I'll skip past that and give you a quick rundown of some of those enterprises, and then I'll pass over to the directors. So the first one of these community organisations that we set up was in partnership with David Mapoy and his family on Yurui. So Mapoy was a former director of ALPA, and he came to us with the idea for an accommodation lodge, and he came with capital. So he wanted a commercial relationship. He wanted ALPA as a big brother that could support him, but he wanted to build his own thing that he could pass on to his family. So that business has grown. David invests all of his dividends back into the business, and he's got plans to edge us out completely over a period of time, which is exactly the point of the model we've set up. That's why they're not set up as NFPs. They're proprietary limited companies. It's a commercial arrangement, and ALPA setting them up, putting the capital in now, so that over a period of time, community can take complete control out of it, and we'll be out of there. The next one's Dimbaloo Regional Services in Ramingining. So that one we set up, and we've now got TO ownership in the form of Balunkanum, the TO organisation out there who came to us, thought it looked pretty good after it had been running for a while, and decided they want 20% in representation on the board. So now we're working in a strong commercial arrangement with the TOs in Ramingining to grow more jobs and create more opportunities for that community. We've got Bookmark Constructions, which is one that's very exciting for us at the moment. It's got a lot of energy because it's been one of the big dreams of the board for a long time, to get back to having Yolngu crews with trade qualifications, bringing through their own apprentices in language, building their own infrastructure, building their own houses on community. So Bookmark's grown to a size very quickly that it can take on bigger projects. It did a lot of work in Gallowinku through the cyclone recovery. It's been working on the Room to Breathe program now with the Northern Territory Government, and it also built our Manapan furniture factory over in Yurui. So the furniture factory, probably one of our more speculative offerings, and it's our first attempt to really try and bring external money into our communities. Our market for this stuff isn't in Arnhem Land. This is about developing products that we can sell to the mainstream market, whether it's Melbourne, Sydney, and really inject some extra money into the community and boost the economy. So we've got, when it gets into full production, it's just ramping up now and about to go live. We'll have ongoing employment for 8 Yolngu men. 2 will soon commence carpentry apprenticeships. We're supporting other businesses in our supply chain. Again, Garma's selling us our wood at the moment. We've completed works for clients such as Ridges and the Department of Education, who bought a very nice piece for it. This is in at the boarding house, so worth a look. And we're about to start a showroom down south, so people down there that want to connect with it have an opportunity to do so if they can't get up here. So I think Larrakia set a precedent for a plug and a bit of a sell, so I'm just going to hang that slide there for a minute, and then I'll pass over to our directors so they can talk a bit more about the strategic vision and what's driving these small businesses. Thanks, guys.
Yo, good afternoon, Pokmak. For those of you who knows me, this is Keith Lapulong Damaranji, and I am a ALPA board member, as well as the chairperson for the Manapan Furniture at Milingimbi. This opportunity that I might have to try and share, I would like to acknowledge to the Garma Association and the people of Yirkala and both Yolngo Kabalanda, present Kapas. This is an opportunity. Back in Milingimbi, there are possibilities and needs. When you look at the history and the chapter, way back, there had been some trades between Asians, Indonesians, Chinese, Portuguese, through people from Sulawesi and Ujung Pandang. This is not a new thing. Back in the former days, Yolngo people thrived. In the 70s, self-determination was born. We would like to see more of this. Self-empowerment, power from the people. This is happening. It's the birth of the making in Arnhem Land. So it's privilege talking to all the Balanders, Wowers, and Yappers this afternoon, that we need to build a strong foundation and a strong capacity in building bridges, both in grassroots, Yolngo Foundation, and mainstream Australia, as well as international in making. So we need to actually move forward and to be part of who we are, to succeed and prosper in bringing this great nation of ours in Australia, Yolngo Kabalanda, building something that is promising and sharing our dreams, our aspirations. It's happening. So I'm also the chairperson for the Manapan Furniture. There are furnitures that people are really passionate back at Milingimbi. But I'd like to share this openly, that with ALPA, there is a possibility in the making and to prosper something, a seed of hope, a mutual seed of hope, in reshaping, re-strengthening, and regaining. So that is my potential. And to be standing here proudly to represent ALPA, our organization, and share this story to build a platform in Australia, not only for Yolngo, but for all of us, no matter what walks of life. This is the making that we're all expecting to see and bring a real brighter future in the making. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Miki Onomura. I am the great-grandfather of Gumaj Clan Nation. My hometown is Kapek. I've been a deputy chair for Kapek for ALPA for nearly 14 years or 15 years. My role as deputy chair is to educate the non-speaking board members to bring pathways to education to meet the understanding between non-Indigenous Indigenous world within the language barriers. My role is to educate our people what business is all about. What's the core of conduct when it comes to younger board members, how you work within the other business towards the mainstream environment. My education is to my own people is to lobby and find the best solution and the best strategy to implement and work with our government and even with the local people across the board. So this business that we're trying to start and what we have started is to bring back the legacy of what happened from our forefathers after selling crocodile skin to the missionaries. It brought that employment towards our mob that didn't went to school, didn't have the education, learned just by watching how to build a house. And most of the houses that have been surviving for all these years, it's not a turning point from 2016 to 15 to 17 to educate our young people that their great-grandfather had the same sort of obligation, same sort of experience they did, but now it's coming to turn back the time to give them that understanding that we've been through this before, but now it's going to come as a role model for the young generation that comes after us. Thank you.